Let's go, Big Blue. It's the New York Giants squad. Everything New York Giants every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the G-Men. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. The Giants Squad Show starts now.
All right, I didn't think we'd be doing a New York Giants squad show after a win this early in the season. I think we pegged all the Giants for an 0-4 start. Brandon Olson, Jay Berman, as we said, it's the New York Giants squad show. 21-18, a victory against an unbeaten 3-0 Charger team, Brandon. That's where we'll start. That is a heck of a win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was one hell of a win. And it was honestly like we were talking a little bit before, but it's like it felt like one of those games where it's like, all right, like you got off to a hot start, 10-0 start there. Could have capitalized better on a couple things, but it felt like it was the Chargers trying to fight back and the Giants just trying to do just enough to play keep away for a bit. But I mean, man, that is just, it was a wild win. It was a hell of a win for the Giants, and one that it felt better than most wins. I don't know if that makes sense, but like we know we just beat a good team. And I think that's really important to see that you've got a roster that can do that.
What's funny is I actually didn't think they played that well. Now, there were spurts where they did good things, but Jaxson Dart, I'm looking right now, threw for 111 yards, and they still won. So the fact that they actually didn't play great, relatively speaking, but still won against a good team, tells you all you need to know about today.
Yeah, I think that you look at the defensive performance because, I mean, they win. Berserk. And I know that it was, a Chargers offensive line that going into the game was banged up and wasn't that good where they were healthy. And that, they lost Joe Alt and that obviously hurt them as well. But that defensive front is what we kind of went into this season thinking, okay, like this is what they're going to do. That's what they looked like. It was Abdul Carter just wreaking havoc. Kayvon Thibodeau made a few plays. Brian Burns has been playing some of the best football of his career this season so far. I know it's still early, but he has just been a freak lately, both rushing the passer, defending the run. When he's dropping into coverage, he's playing well. Brian Burns has been balling, and Dexter Lawrence with one of the most absurd big man interceptions you're going to see, and almost had a thick six there.
Which would have been great. And of course, Giants had difficulty in the red zone, which is nothing new. It seems like those problems really reared their ugly heads today, and they still won. I know I keep saying it, but there were mistakes. There were obviously turnovers. They capitalized on the turnovers that they got. But again, 111 yards passing. Now the running game was better, but again, it's a win, and it's an amazing win.
Yeah, I think that when I first saw the Brian Dable saying, oh yeah, Jackson called me about the red zone problems and how to fix it, my first thought was Jaxson Dart's a young, aggressive quarterback. I know his problem or his solution is going to be just let me run the ball. And certainly, and also every time you have a young quarterback against a good defense, you're going to see them run the football a lot. And that's what Jaxson Dart did. But look, that's what they needed. Like without him running the ball the way that he did, they don't win the game at all. And so I think that Jaxson Dart's legs were huge there, picking up, he picked up, I think it was 4 or 5 first downs. He had the rushing touchdown as well. Like he did what needed to be done. And also it was terrifying, but he was like putting his life on the line for some of those plays. And it was just, you could see that the rest of the team was inspired.
Well, what's interesting is the Giants, they scored their first quarter touchdown. Now, they won the toss and deferred, which we've talked about before. We always want to do, except perhaps in this position where you got brand new quarterback, a rookie quarterback starting for the first time in front of the home folks. You are winless. And yet it still worked because they got the Chargers off the field and then scored a first quarter touchdown. So it actually worked out despite the fact that they didn't take the kick to start the game.
Yeah, I think that first off, I do appreciate the whole like, hey, this is what we would do in any other situation. And so we're going to act like this is business as usual. But also I do appreciate saying like, our defense is good enough and we know they're good enough and we can do that. And look, I know that the defense has gotten a lot of flack lately, and deservedly so. But this was one of their better performances, even without the whole, oh yeah, you're going up against this not great offensive line. We saw some of the defenders that we've been critical of make some plays that they haven't been making this year or even last year if they were on the roster.
What's also really interesting is, as we talked about that quick start, I made a note of this because in no way can we call it the turning point of the game, but it felt huge. And that was McConkey's drop on the opening drive. It would have been a first down. Now, look, first possession of the first quarter. So, Jay, relax. But at the same time, right down the field, 7-0 Chargers, completely different game. That Ladd McConkey drop was huge.
Yeah, I mean, and it was also, if I'm not mistaken, that gave you a 3-and-out right away to start it. And it's just like that drop was big, getting you right on the field. And again, like, I think compounding that with the fact that you did capitalize and scored off of it, I think that was really what makes that drop that much more meaningful. That you got bailed out there. Sure, would have been a catch for a first down, but you got bailed out and you capitalized. You didn't let that opportunity go to waste like we've seen so many times.
All right, let's get deep into Jaxson Dart's performance. Obviously, we're coming from Russell Wilson, and those guys are not the same person. Russell in his mid to late 30s, Jaxson Dart in his early 20s. So right then and there, you know that when he runs, he's going to have a better shot than Russ. That being said, the offense wasn't great. Good enough, which it wasn't under Russ. But again, the bottom line is they won.
Yeah, and really, that's all that matters. Like we can talk about whatever, but I do believe that, you know, improvement week after week, week over week is very important. And, you know, you went from sloppy offense, not winning games, to less sloppy offense, winning a game. And then we can worry about, you know, cleaning things up and getting even better. But I mean, I think that watching Jaxson Dart go out there and he played with the level of confidence that he operated with at Ole Miss. And it wasn't as clean football. It wasn't as flashy football, but he played with that level of confidence where he's like, all right, like, we got to get this first down. We got to get this first down. I see a small window. I'm going to make that throw and I'm going to at least attempt it. And we saw Jaxson Dart step in and operate with the confidence that kind of what made him so cool in college was that gunslinger mentality that I'm going to go do this and good luck trying to stop me.
Now, look, obviously didn't play a stretch of this game without Malik Neighbors, and we'll get to the injury. But with Neighbors, it wasn't much of a day anyways, with a few exceptions. Now he's got to press on without Neighbors. 111 yards passing and a half game for Neighbors. I don't know what that means next week against the Saints, despite the fact that everyone thinks the Saints stink.
Yeah, spoiler alert, this team kind of stinks too. And until they prove it consistently, I'm gonna keep saying it. I do think they've got a better roster than their record shows, but win games and then we can have conversations about that. But it's going to be really interesting to watch just how this offense, I guess I hate to say it like this, but evolves without Malik Neighbors. I mean, we know that the initial reporting from, you know, Ian Rappaport was, it's feared that he'll have a torn ACL. That means you're going to go the whole season without him. And then next year, you got to try to implement him back into it. So I do think that just watching how this offense evolves is going to be really important. Do you see more Jalen Hyatt? Do you see more 12 personnel sets? And you go, all right, well, you know what? We lost a dynamic playmaker. We've got Cam Scatterby. We've got Jaxson Dart's going to take off running whenever he wants to do. We're just going to get bigger out there and just punch defenses in the mouth as we're at a time where defenses are smaller than they've probably ever been.
Giant beat writers were talking about how Jalen Hyatt was, I don't know if he was warming up or actually got into a few plays. I didn't see it. I didn't notice it. So the only reason I bring it up is because it was mentioned by others. He's going to have to step up. I mean, he's been invisible since he became a pro. He needs to step in unless they make a move for another receiver.
Yeah. You want to know how invisible he's been? He played like 20 something snaps.
Amazing. I did not see him once.
No targets. Blocking was less than stellar as expected with him. And I don't mean to be harsh on him. It's just and again, I've said this before, he comes from a system in college that they put you behind everybody else when you're starting. He comes from that offense where it's like, hey, I just got to be fast. I don't have to be good. That's it. And then when you come to the NFL, it takes you a few years. Hendon Hooker put up record-breaking numbers in that offense. I don't even think he's on a team right now. Like we've seen so many guys come from that offense and not work out. Jalen Hyatt, another guy that you had work to do. Injuries have kind of stopped you from really reaching that. it's not too late to do it, but you played 20 something snaps, and honestly, I only recognized him on a few of them, and that's because he was on the broadcast side, and that was the only reason.
I think you and I were in agreement in regards to starting Dart as quickly as possible. I know Patricia wasn't sure yet. She felt like it wasn't the right time to throw him in with a bad offensive line. Mark was more similar too. But that being said, I think it was a good time, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, they got the win. But now after a win and confidence, they can go into New Orleans in a winnable game and maybe spark something. That's 2 in a row.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies one of my favorite movies when I was younger, was Major League, and they win 2 games. He's like, this gentleman is called a winning streak. And I feel like that's going to be the situation there where, Brian Dable can walk and go, hey guys, just saying, we win 1 more. That's called a winning streak. And we get to do that, where again, like I will also say I was fine with starting him. I did think that it was a really brutal defense to face in your first start, and again, the numbers weren't gaudy. They weren't sexy. He didn't do anything huge there passing, but he kind of did what he needed to do. It was quickly get rid of the ball, recognize what you need to do. And I do think that the offensive game plan for him was pretty good of just let him get rid of it quickly. They tried to take a couple deep shots here and there, a few longer developing plays. But I do think that overall the game plan was fine. Got to figure out something in pass protection. That Tui Tuipulotu had 4 sacks against him. But yeah, I think for the most part, like Jaxson Dart did what you expect of him or what you were hoping to get from him, because you can't go out there and go, you're going to throw for 400 today, right? Like that was never going to happen.
You're right. There's irony there. 450 for us in the Dallas game, and they lose. So it's hard to examine what exactly took place when you lose. Yet today, not great offense, and they win. So it's funny how things flip like that in the NFL week to week.
Yeah, it's all about sustainability in some of these offenses. You've got a good defense. You just got to, honestly, I think a big part of it is having these sustained drives where, yeah, you're not doing anything flashy. You're not going 80 yards and scoring a touchdown every time, but you're getting a couple first downs. There weren't many 3 and outs, so you're getting a couple first downs. You're giving the defense a little bit of a rest, let them come back onto the field. You had the lead. You were kind of sitting on it there. Like, Cam Scadaboo, he didn't go crazy at all. He had like 75, 80 yards there, but I'd be willing to bet, and I'm hoping that by the time we're done with this, PFF will have the numbers, but I'd be willing to bet that 2/3 of those yards probably came after contact. Like, it was stuff like that Cam Scadaboo was doing, where it's gritty, it's ugly, and it's nasty, but it wins football games.
Yeah, and we've discussed this as well as we transition to the running game. Obviously, no Tyrone Tracy, and Cam Scadaboo was the one to be consistent. I think I said multiple times to you that I didn't think Scadaboo was a 1. Well, he's a 1. He's a 1 now, whether he likes it or not, whether we like it or not. He's certainly not flashy, certainly not speedy, and that can work to your advantage. But as you said, lots of contact, then lots of yards. I wonder how long that can last. It's a brutal way to play football. Yeah,
it's not. I just said sustainable 2 minutes ago. I don't know if that's very sustainable. The Chargers, their linebacking core is smaller and lighter than a lot of other defenses right now, and I don't know if you face a bigger defense that you're going to be able to just go out there and consistently do that. But hey, you did it for now. Like, you did it in this game. You did it here. You did it when we needed it. And again, walked away with a victory there. I was honestly, I was expecting it to be a more even split between Cam Scadaboo and whoever they were going to use as running back too, Devin Singletary. But honestly, they did what worked. That's really it. And I do think part of it was just that on drives where Cam Scadaboo was on the field, those drives lasted longer than ones where Devin Singletary were on the field. So that's why the snap count worked out like that. But yeah, I do think that you've got to, again, it's not a clean way to win, but you've got a functional offense right now. And that's more than we could say for the first, or for weeks 1 and week 3. I guess week 2, we'll give them functional offense.
Yeah, just inside the numbers a little bit. 25 rushes for Scadaboo for 79 yards. Total for the Giants, and this includes Dart, 42 rushes for 161 yards. Now, 161 yards is good, and so is the average, 4.2. However, those are some difficult yards, and I know that he's valuable as a runner, meaning Dart, but I get nervous every time he doesn't slide or dives, not only for turnover purposes, but just to keep him healthy.
Yeah, and we do now have the PFF numbers, by the way. Cam Scadaboo, 79 rushing yards.
Yep.
57 after contact.
Amazing. He's a beast.
Yeah, I'm not a mathematician, but I would say that's about 2/3 more there. And Jaxson Dart, 54 rushing yards, 34 after contact. Terrifying number from a quarterback, and also Devin Singletary, 28 total, 14 after contact. The Giants' whole rushing offense, 161 yards. 105 of them came after contact. The offensive line didn't help you a ton in this situation. This was guys just gritting it out and grinding it out. And yeah, Jaxson Dart not sliding. And I know that he's gonna hear it from his. If I'm not mistaken, when they played Florida last year, they played a little segment with Jaxson Dart and his family. And that it was his family was like, you got to slide. Like, what the hell are you doing? And so that was a thing that happened in college. I would be pretty willing to bet that's something that we're going to hear about this week after his first start.
All right, we'll take our first break of the show. Then we'll transition to the defense. Shane Bowen saved his job today. We'll discuss coming up next. All right, caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. That's right. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 3-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee. Plus, B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. I always reach for my favorite flavor, cherry, because it's refreshing and gives me that quick lift before a busy day. I've been eyeing grape too. Sounds like the perfect one to try next. Honestly, I love how fast it kicks in and that it's sugar-free, so I don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in-store and online. 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. All right, we are back. It's Brandon and it's Jay. It's the New York Giants squad show, and we promised you some defensive talk. Let's do it. Burns was a beast again. Even saw a little bit of cave on. Abdul making his presence felt. This is the Giant defense we expected to see, or at least hope to see, Brandon.
Yeah, it's good to see things come to fruition. And look, I know that there's going to be people that are going to go, okay, well, you know, it was against that beat up offensive line. I don't give a damn. You go out there and you do your job. I don't care who's lined up across from you. I don't care if you've got the Locked On Giants squad show lined up across from you. You go out there and you do your job and you dominate them. And that's exactly what they did. I thought that this felt like Abdul Carter's best game of his career so far. Just popping out. Loved what Brian Burns. Again, I think Brian Burns has been playing just incredible football this year. I think that for all the negatives that we've seen on this entire team, Brian Burns has not been one of them. It's been great to watch him just play and really just dominate on the edge right now.
So they were obviously awful in Dallas. If we put that game aside, because they never play well in Dallas, if we put that game aside, is the defense good? I'll ask it this way. Is the defense changed enough to be a team that can win any week?
Maybe. Because I want to say that the defense has changed enough to give you a lot more opportunities to win games. Every week, I don't know, but for most of the weeks, yeah, I really do. I think that if this defense can play to the level that we've seen them play, and if they, I guess we'll say, rein in some of the penalties, because when they get penalized, like that Abdul Carter offsides could have killed you. Or like they did score right after it, but that felt like one of those moments where I'm like, oh, that offside's going to lead to a touchdown, and then that's going to lead to the Giants folding this game. Where you were, I don't even know if the Chargers were actually going to snap the ball. I don't even know if they're really going to do it. But so that just felt like one of those things where that can happen. And look, some plays, some penalties are going to be just you playing physical coverage, you operating. I thought the Javon Holland defensive hold was a whatever one. I didn't think it was too egregious there. It still happened, and you still put yourself in that spot. But you clean up some of the penalties, clean up some of the missed tackles that you've had before, and honestly, just play a little bit cleaner, and you're going to be one of the top defenses in the league.
All right, let's. I wanted to get into the numbers on Dex a little bit because this is interesting. For first career interception, first of all, let's get that out of the way, which is kind of amazing. Yes, he's a defensive lineman, but I would have thought that he would have had interceptions in the past exactly like he did today, where he blocks the pass, tips it up, and catches it. Anyways, here's an interesting stat, really two interesting stats. 396 consecutive road passes without an interception for Herbert. His first road interception in 10 starts. And at that point in time, just the second takeaway for the Giants. So that pick, wow, it really, 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 really changed things.
Yeah, and it sets you up with a first and goal. It puts you in fantastic position for this team. And that's one of those things where, it's Dexter Lawrence doing the little things that he does at an exceptional level. Like for me, one of my favorite things to watch from a defensive lineman is getting your hands up into throwing lanes. Not even because I'm thinking, oh, you're going to get the batted pass or you're going to catch an interception off of it, but because I want you to cause a quarterback to hesitate just a little bit and let someone else get there if you're not getting there. Instead, you get into the throwing lane, tip it, have the wherewithal to go catch it afterwards and then run it. And I really thought he was going to house it. I thought he was going to have the thick six. I thought that was going to be just a back-breaking moment for the Chargers. But the Giants, you scored, you made some great plays defensively. And I will also say this as someone who has been very publicly on the Drew Phillips bandwagon. I was loving his entire game today. The pick was little bit of a right place, right time situation, but also I don't give a damn. He got a pick. He had a great return off of it. And again, the defense not only got turnovers or forced turnovers, but put the offense in great position off of them. And I think that was huge for this entire, just for winning this game. I think that was massive.
I'm glad you brought up your boy, Drew Phillips, who once again, good or bad or great or terrible, is in the middle of things. Now, obviously, when you have pressure up front, it's going to make it easier for the secondary to play football. But again, he's in the middle of everything, and it's amazing, good or bad.
Yeah, I'll die for him. I'll say that much. That's where I'm at with Drew Phillips. Because watching just his development has been incredible to see. This is a team that, because I've been very open, I think nickel's the hardest spot to play other than quarterback in all of football. I've told the story. I've played corner, I played safety, I tried to play nickel, and I was like, get me the hell out of here. I can't do it. It's too difficult. So watching someone come from college playing mostly outside to full-time in the nickel is huge. We saw Deonte Banks. I know that it was negated with a penalty, but we saw Deonte Banks for once in his life make a play on the ball. And it's like, okay, we finally saw that. We're seeing guys, I don't know if it's getting more comfortable, more confident. I don't know what it is, but we're seeing guys make some plays on the ball so far. And I think that's going to be a big part of this offense, because for so much of this offense, or for so much of this of this past 2 years, it's kind of just been quarterbacks can throw the ball wherever they want, and no one's making a play on it. Like no one's stopping you. And it feels like we're maybe seeing that little bit of a shift there. And look, Deonte Banks got beat immediately after that. But again, we saw him make a play prior to. We saw guys step up and make some big plays. Tyler Nubin had a few big plays that I really liked watching, although he also had some horrible ones there. But I think watching the secondary develop is the next thing to help this pass rush. We talk about, having a great pass rush really helps your secondary. Yes, having a great pass rush helps your secondary more, but having a secondary that can hold their own for just a little bit and buy the pass rush even half a second really helps you out. Like we always talk about which one helps the other more. It's complementary football. Like that. Like that's what, when we say complementary football, that's what it is. That's working as a unit. And I think that we're hopefully approaching a point where this secondary will help this pass rush more.
Twitter was abuzz when Banks and Singletary were your men to return kicks. Now, I don't know what happened, but can we get a kick returner in there? A real kick returner?
Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing to me because my first thought when I saw Deontay Banks returning was first round pick a couple years ago, relegated to rotational cornerback duties and kick return. That's what it's come to now. Not an ideal usage of resources there.
No, it's funny. I wouldn't have even noticed it, but everybody started tweeting about it, and I'm like, oh my God. And then Singletary was returning kicks, and I'm like, somebody either got hurt or special teams coach doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't fault the Devin Singletary one too much, only because of the new special teams setup, the new kick return setup. Is like we've heard so many coaches at this point go, yeah, it's kind of like a run play now. Like, and so I remember when Tyron Tracy got drafted, I was like, oh, great. That's going to be a way to get him involved immediately, is let him work out there where, it's kind of like a run play now. Like we've seen teams run trap off of it. Like we've seen teams run straight up blocking schemes off of kick return now. So Devin Singletary, I was fine with. Deontay Banks, I was just looking at it like, oh, that's what we've come to. And that's not a great spot, because that's not a situation of going, oh, this guy's an incredibly dynamic playmaker, we just got to get him the ball in any way we can. That was, let's figure out something to get him involved more consistently. He's not starting, so, and I'm not a knock on wood when I say this because I feel bad saying it, but he's not starting. So if, God forbid, an injury were to happen on special teams, it's not the end of the world. But I do think that's a fear for a lot of teams, is we don't want to have a star kick returning, because then if they get banged up on special teams, we're going to feel like fools. And so it kind of, to me, felt like, oh, he's expendable, is kind of what I took from that.
Which is an amazing fall from grace for him. You mentioned Abdul, probably his best game. He actually leads the NFL, or at least rookies, in most pressures. Now, look, he doesn't have 10 sacks. He doesn't have 2 pick sixes, but his presence is certainly being felt right out of the gates. He's a beast.
Yeah, I think that especially with him, his versatility is just what's huge for it. I like just being able to go, okay, well, guess what? This play, you're going to be off ball. Next play, right up on the line on the edge. Next play, you're in the A gap. And just having someone that can line up everywhere, that can make plays everywhere, that can just go out there and, for lack of better terms, wreck stuff. Like having that at your disposal is huge for this defense. And when we talk about, well, you've got this elite top of your defensive front, right? With Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter. How do you get them all in the field at once? How do you get them all rushing the passer at once? I think the beauty with that combination is that they don't all need to be rushing the passer at once. We've seen Brian Burns make some solid plays in coverage. I don't think he's done anything incredible this year, but he's been there and he's made the tackle, and that's all I'm going to ask from an edge rusher in coverage. Abdul Carter lining up all over the defense, making plays, and probably the most impactful rookie right now so far through this first month of the season. I don't know what more you can ask for. And I know that, you mentioned earlier, like Shane Bowen might have saved his job.
Yeah.
I think using Abdul Carter in the ways that he's using him, while not taking away from Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, or Dexter Lawrence, which he can only take away from Dexter Lawrence. There's so much, of course, but using Abdul Carter while not taking away from Burns and Thibodeau on the edge, I think that is maybe the best part of Shane Bowen's coaching job so far.
All right, Brandon and I will take a quick break. When we return, we'll pick on the Chargers. Triple H will explain what that means coming up next. All right, it's time for Rougiette. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Go Long. That's exactly where Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly to your door. If prescribed, as we said, discreetly to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rougiette.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. Rougiette, Rugiet.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you. All right, we are back. And as we said, the Triple H's, Harbaugh, Herbert, and Hampton. And they were pretty good, specifically Hampton. But again, that's a good team with a good quarterback, a good coach, and a good running back that, no, the Giants didn't shut down specifically the running back, but they held Justin Herbert down pretty well, I would think.
Oh, yeah. He completed, like 50% of his passes, threw 1 touchdown, had 2 picks. Yeah, I mean, I think that the defense did a hell of a job keeping Justin Herbert just under pressure the entire time. That was really what it is that he had no time to settle in. There was he had a decently long scramble, and I thought that at that point he might start opening up the offense a little bit, because I do think that when you've got a pass rush that's just pinning their ears back, getting after you, and you got a quarterback that then takes off and makes them pay a little bit, I was like, okay, maybe that'll like he should have kept using his legs until the defense started adjusting and hesitating for a second and buying him a little bit more time. He should have kept doing it. He didn't, and I'm very grateful that he didn't do it. But I think that when he took off running there, I was like, oh, that's going to be tough. And then he just didn't do it again for the entirety of the game. I don't know what the plan was there. Amarian Hampton, they drafted him high for a reason, right? Like he's incredibly talented. You get him in space, you just let him make plays. And having, like you mentioned, Triple H, a hell of a trio out there to win some games. But unfortunately, not this one.
All right, the Giants' run defense we know has been bad. Now, the pressure on the quarterback was good, but the running game, despite the fact that there was a runner for 100 and almost 30 yards, 128 for Hampton, it's pretty amazing that it didn't seem like they ran all over the Giants, despite the fact that he rushed for 128 yards. Does that make sense? It almost seems like, despite the fact that there have been struggles for the Giants' run defense, they actually held up today, despite that there was a 128-yard rusher.
Yeah, I think for me, a big part of it is just like 100 of those yards came on 3 carries.
Yeah, 54-yard big one. Really helped. That's like half.
Yeah, he had almost half his yards on that 1 carry. He had legitimately 101 yards came on 3 carries. Outside of that, he had 9 carries for 27 yards. That's 3 yards a pop. The issue was, of course, those big long runs will kill you. But for the most part, this defense did their job. It's just like, the thing is, it doesn't matter if you do your job, 75 to 80% of the time. Because also, yes, we could say 9 carries for 27 yards. Had they given him the ball more, that could have been a completely different conversation if he kept breaking those long runs. But he just didn't get the ball that frequently. But yeah, I think that for the most part, 9 carries, 27 yards, I'll take that 7 days of the week.
Yeah, and also, agreed. And also interesting is that I don't mean to pick on anybody here, but Ladd McConkey, including the drop, was pretty quiet today. Johnston was good. Keenan Allen is always good, but that is not a great receiving core for an previously unbeaten team that was high-powered. Tells you all you need to know about Herbert, really, how good he is, despite the fact that he doesn't have big-time weapons.
Yeah, I think that when you look at that receiving core, it's Ladd McConkey will give you stuff underneath. He didn't today at all. He had 1 catch, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So he had just the 1 catch. He had, I think, 2 drops. I think
he had a drop later on too.
Yeah, he had the crucial one and he had a later one. Quentin Johnston's been continuing his breakout. I mean, that touchdown catch that was as Quentin Johnston as you get. Keenan Allen, not dynamic anymore. He's nothing more than just a chain mover at this point in his career. And that's a fine role to have. That I'm not saying that disparagingly, like that's a fine role to have. The tight end room is maybe, and I'm including Scott Matlock, the fullback in here, maybe the least dynamic tight end room I've ever seen. Just Tyler Conklin's not doing much. Scott Matlock's not doing much. Oronde Gadsden hasn't really broken out yet, but when he does, he will be very dynamic. I have no doubt about that. But yeah, I think that right now you're looking at a receiver room that struggles to consistently create separation, except for usually Ladd McConkey. He just had a really bad day today. And you know what? I'm going to push my agenda. I'm going to further it. I'm going to say it was because of Drew Phillips. That's what I'm doing now. I'm full blown propaganda here. That's what I'm doing. That's what it came from. But yeah, this is a receiving room that they're just not dynamic right now. And that's going to kill you.
That's funny because my next topic was, and I know we were talking about the Chargers, but it just made me think, if the Chargers have a quote unquote less dynamic receiver room, what do the Giants have without Neighbors?
A even less dynamic
an invisible receiver room.
Yeah, they I don't even know what that's like. Do you just put Jalen Hyatt out there and go, hey, let's just uncork the long ball, and if it works, it works, but at least we'll have the threat. Darius Slayton, throughout much of his career, has been a great deep ball receiver. Didn't really do it today. Didn't really see that. Wan'Dale Robinson against Dallas was destroying them deep downfield, and we haven't seen that again since then, which a testament to how just god-awful Dallas's secondary is right now. I really don't know if you've got the dynamic ability right now, or if you've just got to go, hey, we're just going to grit and grind for 17 games. Obviously not 17 at this point, but if you're just going to go, hey, we're just going to grit and grind for the rest of the season. And if you stop us, but we're trying to get first downs consistently. That's the goal. We'll get first downs consistently enough to get touchdowns. I'm
throwing Neighbors out the window because he obviously got hurt, but Wan'Dale and Theo Johnson had more targets than Darius Slayton. Those two had 5 targets. Slayton had 4. Now, Slayton played half the game without Neighbors, so by default, he becomes the one. Why so few targets?
You know what's crazy? He had fewer targets than each of them, but he had more yards than the two of them combined. That's like they combined for 31 yards. He had 44. I think, honestly, I think that rather than looking at him as the one, I think the way that I look at him is just you're the field spacer. I feel like that's always been where he's been good. And that's kind of just what I need him to do, is just stretch the field, open everything up. Because right now, especially without Malik Neighbors, you're at a point where defenses are not going to respect you at all. They're not going to respect you. We're looking at an age where it's like, oh yeah, everyone's playing too high. They're not going to do that against the Giants unless you make them. They're going to go, hey, we're going to play single high. We're going to have another person in the box. We know you're going to keep it underneath and you're going to want to run the football. And we're just going to try to attack you doing that. And I think that a big thing for Darius Slayton, and one of the reasons that maybe Jalen Hyatt should play, is just if you can give me that vertical field stretching ability, you have value, even if you're not genuinely making plays. But also, Jalen Hyatt was out there for 29 plays is his PFF snap count. Didn't get a single target.
You can't explain it. You know, it's funny too, because literally 3 weeks ago, it was Russ under center, Tyrone Tracy in the backfield, and your number one receiver was Malik Neighbors. Today, Jaxson Dart, Cam Scatterboo, and whoever, Darius Slayton, I guess. It's amazing how things have changed.
Yeah, it's a lot less dynamic. And it's especially funny when I mentioned this week 1, I think it was, where in the spring, Patty asked Russell Wilson, what's the identity of this offense? And he said, explosive plays. And now we're talking about, well, we're just going to grit and grind, and maybe Theo Johnson is wide receiver 1 at this point. Like we're about one more injury away from saying, hey, we're just going to RPO. Like, it's going to look like Jaxson Dart's college offense with Ole Miss, where there's like, hey, we're just going to go RPO up and down the field, and we're going to kill clock here, which is the one big difference from Lane Kiffin there. But we're going to kill clock here and just try to pick up first downs and grit and grind it and try to punch everybody in the mouth. Daniel Bellinger is probably going to play a ton of snaps as well. It's just going to be ugly and messy, and Thomas Fidone is going to get out there at some point, and we're going to try to get him the ball. Like, you're just looking at an offense that it's not going to be fun. And I think that everyone loves to watch a fun offense, right? If you can win games without being a fun offense, I'll be honest, I don't give a damn. Like, I only care about the offense looking fun while you're losing, because I'm at least going, all right, at least it's entertaining. Like, but if you're winning, I don't care if you're winning these games 6-3 if you're winning them. That's really all that matters.
Well, it's funny. The one shootout they got in, they lost. So, I mean, it just goes to show you don't need to put up however many they did, 37 against the Cowboys, to win. Not to mention it came against a much better team. So, yes, football's a week-to-week sport. You never know what you're going to get. It's all about matchups. But again, shootout, loss, low scoring, win. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll say that it's going to be really interesting to watch how this offense, again, I said it before, kind of evolves at this point. And I don't think evolves is a fun word to use or a good word to use, but do you maybe just go, hey, running backs, you're going to be a lot more involved in the passing game now, even though we also kind of need you in pass protection. And you're still going to have to run the ball and grit and grind that with 2/3 of your yards coming after contact.
It's really weird because I just, first of all, I didn't expect them to win today for sure. And I don't think anybody did it against an undefeated team. But, and we talked about this on Thursday, Mark and Patricia and myself, we talked about early start time for a West Coast team. Now, this is not a new thing. We've discussed this for years. And it seems kind of petty, but I think it's important to mention, at least mention, if you will, that it was an early start time for a West Coast team.
Yeah, they're playing at what, 10 a.m. their time?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take it. They got off to a slow start. Maybe it was because they were still waking up, but I'll take it 7 times out of the week or 7 days out of the week. I'll take that. It's unfortunate for them, but it's also, you know, if and this doesn't happen so much in the NFL, but in college, you got Penn State going to play UCLA at 8 o'clock Pacific time, and that's an 11, like that's, you know, Pac-12 at night, crazy nonsense like that, like, which again, they're in the Big Ten now, but besides the point. But it's like stuff like that, like it's part of the game. It's part of football. It's the same thing as, hey, this weather condition is different than what I'm used to playing, and it's football. Go out there, line it up, put your chin strap up, and go hit somebody. And if you can't do that, then sit the hell down and someone else will do it. You get paid millions of dollars to do this. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I'll take every advantage.
It's funny. We used to rip John Gruden for his Buccaneers, I guess, record in cold temperatures, if you recall. And it was never good. They could never win when it was 35 or below. And it's just funny because it's an issue every single year. And it's never going to change. And it's just something that those California teams and Washington teams have to deal with.
No, I didn't tell you to live there. I didn't tell you to move there. That's not on me. Yeah, I didn't tell you that. That's like, it's the same that when Jared Goff was getting traded from the Rams. There were teams that were cold weather teams who were like, well, we've never seen him play really in cold weather. The few times we have seen him play in cold weather, he's been bad.
Right.
So no, we're not going to get him. And it's like, yeah, that's part of building your team. Get guys that can go out there and adapt, and get guys that can go out there and win. And if you can't do that, you're going to lose to the 0-3 Giants. Simple as that.
Indeed. All right. We have one more commercial break to hit you with, and then we will discuss more Jaxson Dart. It's Brandon. It's Jay. We'll be right back. All right, time to tell you about FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, aren't we all? It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, we are back. Final segment of the show. We talked about it on Thursday, Brandon. Does a QB make that big of a difference? Well, and this is before today, obviously. This was on Thursday. I think we know the answer to the question. And to be fair, right down the middle, he didn't play great, but they won. And that's far more important than playing great.
Yep, that's all. That's really genuinely, and I know people hate saying this because they want it to be fun or they want to feel good about it. Win football games. That's the name of the game. Yeah. That's the name of the business. That's what it is. That's what they did. And yeah, he didn't throw the football great. The way he ran terrified me at times. But he gave you with his legs what Russ wasn't going to give you. Like it's really as simple as that. I'm not trying to gas up Jaxson Dart as if he had this, generational performance against the Chargers. No, but he used his legs in ways that Russ wouldn't use his legs. He was quicker to just pull it down. And I don't know what the game plan was there, if that was just him kind of just going out and freestyling, or because what I would have told him if I were on the coaching staff was, hey, you take your drop, you make through your first read or two, and if it's not there, you take off running, because this defense is going to throw a ton of exotic looks at you. They're going to throw a ton of just disguised coverages at you. Don't spend that time trying to figure out what they're doing. Just go out there and make a play. And if that's, hey, you don't know what's happening right now, just take off running and get going, because obviously your offense was much more simplified in college. You weren't used to that. So your offense with the NFL had to be simplified. And I know that, and I reference college because I also cover college, but you hear guys in college where it's a freshman and they go, all right, go through your first two reads. If it's not there, take off running. Treat Jaxson Dart like that. Treat rookies like that, especially ones that are athletic enough to go make those plays. Like we have proof that he did it. I mean, a 38-yard rush came off the board, but that was a 38-yard rush against NFL defense. Like, great usage of his legs. That was a big difference maker to get you the first downs and the touchdown. Huge.
Yeah, Kafka continues to call plays from the sidelines. What's interesting about this week specifically is that, and even talked about it, Kevin Harlan and Trent Green, they talked about how the playbook would either have to be simplified or completely changed to cater to Dart. Didn't feel like it was a huge change. Now, again, I'm a novice when it comes to NFL play calling, but I was looking to see if I could notice a difference. A few plays here and there, obviously the ones that were designed runs for Dart are different, but it didn't seem like it was crazy different.
It didn't look like anything ridiculous to me. It just seemed like they were like, hey, we've got a young guy. We've got to simplify things. And during this whole spring and summer, we were told, yeah, they're throwing crazy things at Jaxson Dart. He's going into the game without expecting to go into the game. Like they're just doing a whole bunch of things. In the preseason, we saw, I think it was the Jets game, Russ comes off the field, Jaxson Dart comes in for one play, and then Russ comes right back in. And after the game, Jackson's like, yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen, but apparently Brian Dable just told Russ to come off the field, because if you need to go in a pinch, you need to be ready. Like, they've thrown everything they can at Jaxson Dart at this point. They know mostly what he's picked up or what he hasn't yet. My guess is that they just simplified the playbook to what he knows. Even if that's stuff that we don't really see in the normal game plan, it wasn't anything that truly changed. It was just, this is what he knows. This is what he's comfortable with. Yes, the quarterback mobility is now different. So we had different run plays, more designed run plays with the quarterback, but it didn't feel like they changed a ton. They just simplified. And again, like I will be very critical of this coaching staff for a very long time. I think in this game, they put their team in position to win. And that's all. Like, that's all you could really ask for them, is they put their team in position to win offensively and defensively, and it worked.
It's a good point. We poked fun at Shane Bowen for, quote unquote, saving his job today. I don't know if you saw it. But Dable went up to Dart on the field afterwards, smashed his hand on his pads, gave him a big hug, perhaps even a kiss on the side of the head. Dable, at least it seemed like, saved his job.
That's
at least
what it was.
He was
Thank
thinking
you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. But that's, I mean, look, that was so much of the point of why start Jaxson Dart is you're desperate to save your job. Having the rookie quarterback that you wanted, that you're developing, that you're starting, have him look really good or have him look good and you're winning games and have him look promising enough to justify keeping you. That's really what it was, right? And the decision to start Jaxson Dart when he chose to start him was met with a lot of people going, Chargers are not a team you want to do that against. Right. That Jesse Minter defense is no joke. You don't want to go up against that with a rookie quarterback. And Brian Dable kind of just went, well, that's what I'm going to do. And it's either going to work or it's not going to work. But odds are, if things kept going the way that they were going, I'm going to get fired. I might as well just go out on my sword and say, hey, new starting quarterback. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm giving myself a fighting chance. Like they gave the offense and the defense chances to win the game. They gave themselves an opportunity to save their jobs. And one win isn't going to do that. But one win keeps you from getting fired. And that's really what you're trying to do. That at this point in Brian Dable's tenure, what we're really talking about is each win prolongs your stay. Each win just buys you more time. And what you're going to do this year is just try to stack up enough of those wins where at the end of the year, they go, if you make it there, they go, all right, well, there was promise and we didn't make the decision to fire him. We'll give him another year. But like this year, no matter what you do, because you're not going to go on this crazy run, this year, it's all about trying to fight for another year. And then next year is proving that you can be the guy. But right now, it's just, you don't want it, because the way that I think of firing coaches is fire them when you know they're not the guy to win you a championship. That's when I think you fire someone. And I think this year for Brian Dable, it's just don't prove to them that I'm not the guy that's going to win them a championship. Just make them have that question for one more year with a second-year Jaxson Dart, and let me prove to them next year what I can do. It
was a really interesting week for Shane and Dable. I'll tell you what I mean. Dable told us all, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, regardless, that it was only his decision to start Dart. If I extrapolate, that means to me Shane didn't want to start him, at least yet. So the question is, if he saved Bowen's job and he saved his job, I'm assuming he saved Shane's job as well.
Maybe. Maybe he might be in a weird spot where it's like, all right, well, I don't know if this season doesn't turn around the way that it might. Maybe you force a weird spot where it's one or the other, and then you figure out, who really wanted Jaxson Dart, who was pushing for that more, and that's how we're gonna make the decision. But yeah, maybe I think that this entire season is just about what can you do to put guys in position to succeed. And when we talk about Joe Shane, it's like, go get a receiver that can help. You don't need a wide receiver one. You're not going to go get a wide receiver one. That's not realistic. And that's also just, I'm always going to be honest here for any of you listeners. Just know that all I'm trying to do is be honest here. You're not going to go get a wide receiver one because that's just a bad decision. And honestly, that's a fireable offense in itself, that you're going to go out there and start dealing capital that you probably won't be able to get to use if things are going the way that or if things keep going the way that they've been going. You're not going to go do that. Guys aren't going to come in and learn the playbook right away and be ready to acclimate and be ready to make these big plays. But you can go get yourself a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 3 that's played in similar offenses and can contribute. Like that's what you're trying to do, is just find guys that can supplement and maybe give you more than Jalen Hyatt can, who played 29 snaps. And
amazing. How did that happen?
I think he was wearing Harry Potter's cloak. I think that's what it is. Because I don't know, I just did not. No targets is insane to me. And of course, we know he didn't make any impact blocking because He never has. Just in the
He
interest of
doesn't
full
know
disclosure.
how.
Yeah, just in the interest of full disclosure, he never has. So I think that that's also one of the things where it. I don't know if the coaching staff feels the same way, but I do think that it's if you're not going to contribute there and you're not an insane receiver, like I can justify playing like Mac Hollins is not a good receiver, but I could justify playing you if you can block and I know you're going to do the dirty work and the gritty work and you're going to open up our run game. If you're a receiver that you're not being productive and you're not contributing blocking, what are you out there for? Put him on kick return. Just put some speed out there and just go, all right, go ahead, run, kid, because we got you on contract and you're not doing much on the offense.
We talked about him for so long. He's so fast. He's going to be so good. I mean, it's just a waste of a draft pick.
But he won the Biletnikoff. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah. You know what's funny? I don't think there's a bigger fraud than me because the last 3 weeks I've been telling you, I don't see a win there. Now, they weren't going to go 0-17. Now, I'm looking at this schedule. I'm seeing maybe Denver, maybe the Bears, maybe the Patriots. Am I crazy?
I don't think Denver. I will say, just because I don't know how you figure out a passing attack against Denver. That one's just their corner room, their pass rush, the Giants' offensive line, the Giants' receiving room. I don't know that there's going to be any
and it's
space
in
there.
Denver too.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be the receiving room, but every other game you listed, absolutely winnable. I'm not saying that the Giants should be favored in them, but winnable, absolutely. The Saints game, yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to look up. I'm very curious to see if they have a line yet. Let's see. October 5th, Saints getting 1.5. The Giants are road favorites. I don't know the last time that happened.
I don't know, but I'll be taking it. I'll tell you that. I don't trust the Giants a ton. I definitely don't trust the Saints, so I'll be taking that one.
Yeah, I think it would be a different story if it was in New York. But don't forget, not only is it New Orleans where it's loud, despite the fact that the team isn't any good, that's a noon Central Time start, about as early as it can be for an NFL team. So we talked about going from west to east. We talked about bad weather. Early timing is a factor as well.
Yeah, but hey, I can tell you one thing. This Giants roster has added more guys in recent years that have played in different time zones. I think that's one big thing with college conference realignment is guys playing more all over the country throughout college. They've done it before. Jaxson Dart's done it before a lot, playing in the SEC. He had to do it a ton. It's going to be not easy, but I do think it's one of those games where still very winnable. And I think it's honestly more of an indictment of this Saints team that I think has just been, I don't know how else to describe it other than god awful. They suck. And this is going to bite me back if they lose. I know that, but they are so bad right now.
I think that's one of the reasons why Patricia wanted Dart to start after this week. Now, we didn't think that they were going to win, so it looks bad now. But to be fair to Patricia, we were wrong is basically the point. We need the Giants to prove us wrong more.
I would love it if they proved me wrong more. Not in the way where I was going like, oh yeah, they should win. They should hit the over this year was my thought. And after the first 3 weeks, I was like, oh, so they proved me wrong in that way. I would love it if you now prove me wrong on my adjustment to those first 3 weeks. If you kept doing that one, because yeah, this is again a schedule where it's not easy, but it's definitely winnable. Where you've got Saints, you're probably going to lose the Eagles game. You're probably going to lose the Denver game. And then you have the Eagles again right after for some reason, because that's how the schedule worked up. 49ers, not going to be an easy one. We'll see what their health situation is. Bears, Patriots, Raiders, Cowboys. If this team is continuing to improve and the Cowboys defense stays to be the Cowboys defense, you should be able to put up points on them and actually win the game this time around. Like this, they're not making playoffs.
That game, last game of the season.
That would be.
Here we go again on the roller coaster. It's uncanny. It's just it's
That's going to be a cold game, too. That's going to be January in New Jersey. That's going to be a cold game.
All right, let's put a bow on this. Give me your thoughts on exactly what you expect to happen in New Orleans as far as win or loss.
Win. Absolutely. I'm full in on it. Again, it's me. I hate the Saints. Not actually hate them. They're just an awful team right now. That's it. Like that's just what they are. And hopefully, another full week of preparation as a starting quarterback will help Jaxson Dart help open up this offense more, despite the receiving room right now.
There were only a couple games before the first game of the regular season, at least from my perspective. There were only a couple of games we circled where we absolutely thought the Giants could win. The first one is the Saints game. Pressure, because the Giants know that if we can get out to a 2-3 mark here, maybe the season's different. A loss here and forget it.
Yeah, I mean, if you get to a 2-3 mark, all they're going to do is look back at that week 2 game in Dallas and just go, wow, if we only didn't screw it completely up, we'd have a winning record right now.
Yeah. What are you going to do? All right. Last week, you got the NFC East preview, and it's not too late to binge every Locked On Division preview. Be the most informed NFL fan in an 8-episode series, bringing you every division winner, breakout star, and Super Bowl contender. Find the link in the description to the Locked On NFL playlist on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right. According to Brandon Olson, the Giants are going to win next week. Fingers crossed. For Brandon, I'm Jay. Congrats to the Giants. We're now 1-3. Have a good night, everyone.